You stand up from the couch with a clear and noble mission. You know exactly what you're doing. You're going to the kitchen to get the thing. You can practically feel the thing in your hand already. You stride down the hall, full of purpose, cross into the kitchen, and you stop. Dead. Blank. Why are you here? You stand in the middle of your own kitchen, a grown adult who manages a whole life, staring at the toaster like it might explain things. The mission is gone, completely erased. 2 seconds ago you knew. Now there is nothing where the thought used to be, just a faint echo of having had one. You open the fridge, hoping it'll jog something loose. It does not. You came in here for a reason, and that reason has vanished off the face of the earth. And you know this isn't a one-time thing. It's a whole genre of moment. You walk upstairs with total conviction and arrive at the top with no idea why you climbed. You pick up your phone to do something specific and find yourself just staring at the screen, thumb hovering, the task evaporated. You open a new tab to look something up and immediately cannot recall what. You go to another room to tell someone something, and you get there, open your mouth, and nothing. You have to admit out loud to another human being that you walked all this way to say a thing you can no longer locate anywhere in your head. Every single one of these feels like a tiny personal malfunction, a little hiccup that makes you wonder, just for a second, if your brain is quietly coming apart. It isn't. Every one of those moments is the same exact thing happening, and it has a name and a cause, and it is honestly one of the more elegant things your brain does. You've just never been told what it was. This is the psychology of the doorway effect. The strange, almost comic blankness that hits you the instant you walk into a room to do something and have absolutely no idea what. And here's the first thing I want you to know, before anything else, because most people quietly worry about this one. It is not a sign that something is wrong with you. It is not your memory failing. It is not early anything. It happens to 20-year-olds and 80-year-olds. It happens to brilliant people. It is one of the most normal things your brain does. And by the end of this, you're going to understand exactly why it happens. And the genuinely strange part, which is that it's caused by the very same system that makes your memory work so well in the first place. Because here's the twist we're building toward. The forgetting isn't a bug. It's the price of a feature, a spectacular feature. Your brain didn't lose the thought, it filed it, under a room you just left. But let's start with what everyone gets wrong about this, because the wrong explanation is the reason people worry. When this happens, the story you tell yourself is usually some version of, "My memory is bad, I'm getting old, I'm losing it. I can't even remember why I walked into a room." You file it under personal failing, scattered brain, too much going on. And that explanation feels true because it's embarrassing, and you're standing there feeling dumb in front of a toaster. But it's wrong. And we know it's wrong because of a clever set of experiments that pin down exactly what's going on. Researchers had people do a simple task: pick up an object, carry it somewhere, put it down, remember what they were holding and where they were headed. Sometimes the journey was across a single large room, and sometimes the journey covered the exact same distance, but it passed through a doorway into a different room. Same distance, same task, same amount of time. The only difference was whether you walked through a door. And the result was striking. People were significantly worse at remembering after they walked through a doorway than after they walked the same distance within one room. The door, specifically, was wiping the thought. Not the distance, not the time, not how busy they were. The act of crossing from one room into another was doing something to memory that walking in a straight line simply did not do. So this isn't about you being forgetful, it's about doorways. Architecture is eating your intentions. And to understand why a door, of all things, has this power, you have to understand the single most important thing about how your brain organizes your entire life. Your brain does not store your experience as one long, continuous, unbroken film. That would be a disaster. Imagine trying to find one moment in a single recording that runs the entire length of your life with no chapters, no breaks, no markers. You'd never find anything. So your brain doesn't do that. Instead, it chops your ongoing experience into segments, episodes, events, little self-contained chunks, each one packaged up with its own context. Where you were, who was there, what you were doing, what you were thinking. This is called event segmentation, and it is one of the most important things your brain does every waking second, completely without your awareness. It is constantly asking a quiet background question. Is this still the same event, or has a new one begun? And when it decides a new event has begun, it does something very specific. It draws a line. It closes the previous chunk, files it away, and opens a fresh one. Researchers call that line an event boundary. You can actually feel the results of this if you try to remember your own past. You don't recall yesterday as a smooth, unbroken stream from waking to sleeping. You recall it as a handful of distinct scenes: the bit in the kitchen, the bit at work, the conversation in the car, the thing in the evening. Your brain has already chopped it into episodes for you, each one its own little packaged scene. And that's exactly why you can flip to any one of them.
Your life feels like it's made of moments rather than one endless reel, precisely because your brain is segmenting it all day into retrievable chunks. The doorway effect is just the moment you catch that machine in the act, closing one scene a half beat before you are finished with it. And here's the thing. Your brain treats as one of the clearest, loudest signals that a new event has begun. Walking through a doorway. Think about why that makes sense from your brain's point of view. For almost all of human history, moving from one space to another genuinely meant moving from one situation to another. You left the cave. You were now hunting. Different event. You entered the dwelling. You were now resting. Different event. A change of location was a reliable signal that the context had changed, that the old situation was over and a new one had started. So your brain learned, deeply, to treat crossing a physical threshold as a mental threshold. Cross the doorway and your brain goes, new room, new context, new event. Close the old folder, open a new one, and now you can see exactly what's happening to your poor little intention. When you stand up to go get the thing, that intention is being held in a temporary, short-term workspace in your mind, your working memory. It's tied to the context you're in. It lives in the same mental folder as the couch, the show you were watching, the thought that prompted it. And then you walk to the kitchen. You cross the doorway. And your brain, helpfully, efficiently, does exactly what it was built to do. It registers an event boundary. It decides the living room event is over, and it closes that folder, purging the working memory contents to clear space for the new room, the new context, the new event that's about to begin. Your intention was inside that folder, so your intention gets purged too. Not deleted forever, filed, put away with the rest of the living room context, the moment you decided you'd left the living room behind. You didn't forget why you came into the kitchen. Your brain packed the reason into a box labeled living room the instant you stepped out of it. That blank feeling in front of the toaster is the sound of a folder closing. And this explains something you've probably noticed. It happens way more when you're busy, stressed, or juggling a lot. People take that as proof their memory is getting worse, but it's the opposite of a decline. When your mind is already holding a dozen things, the work deadline, the text you need to send, the thing you forgot to do yesterday, your working memory is crowded and fragile. The little intention to get the charger is sharing a tiny, overloaded workspace with everything else. So when the doorway triggers its purge, that flimsy, half-attended intention is the first thing to go. It was barely being held in the first place. A calm, empty mind walks to the kitchen and remembers fine. A mind running 10 background tasks walks through the same door and the charger never had a chance. So if this has been happening to you more lately, the most likely explanation isn't that something is wrong with your brain.
It's that you're carrying too much at once, and a doorway is all it takes to knock the lightest thing off the pile. That's not memory loss. That's an overloaded desk. The fix isn't to panic about your mind. It's, where you can, to carry a little less across the thresholds. An intention held by a quiet mind survives the journey. An intention held by a frantic one gets swept up with the rest. And here's the most elegant proof of all, the one that turns this from a theory into something you can test on yourself tonight. What's the classic trick for remembering why you came into a room? Go back. Walk back to where you started. And there it is. The thought returns, often the instant you re-enter the original room.
You're standing back in the living room and you go,
Oh, right, the charger. Why does that work? Because going back through the doorway reopens the original folder. You've returned to the context the memory was filed under, and the memory comes right back with it. This is something psychologists call context-dependent memory, and it's incredibly powerful. Your memories are tied to the place and the state you were in when you formed them. Put yourself back in that place and you reinstate the whole context. And the lost thought, which was never lost at all, surfaces immediately. It was waiting in the room the entire time. You just had to go back and open the box. So let's put this all together, because the picture is genuinely lovely once you see it. The doorway effect isn't your memory breaking, it's your memory working perfectly. Your brain is running an extraordinary filing system that chops your messy, continuous life into neat, retrievable, context-stamped episodes. And that system is the reason you can remember anything at all. The reason your past isn't one unsearchable blur. The forgetting in the kitchen is just the occasional, harmless cost of that system doing its job a little too well. It closed a folder you weren't quite done with. You are not losing your mind. You are watching one of the most sophisticated organizational systems in the known universe momentarily inconvenience you over a charging cable. To really feel how much of a feature this is, imagine the alternative. Imagine a brain that didn't segment anything, that recorded your entire life as one single, continuous, undivided file, with no chapters, no scene breaks, no boundaries at all. Every moment smeared seamlessly into the next, from birth onward, in one endless, unbroken strip. Now try to find anything in that.
try to recall what happened last Tuesday afternoon. When there's no Tuesday, no afternoon, no boundary marking where one moment ends and another begins. Just an infinite, featureless tape. You couldn't navigate it. You couldn't search it. You'd be lost in your own memory, drowning in undifferentiated experience with no way to locate a single thing. The boundaries are what make memory usable. The folders are what make your past searchable. Every time your brain draws a line and says, "New event starts here," it's creating a handle you can grab later, a label you can find, a scene you can flip to. The reason you can summon up a specific dinner from years ago, or that one conversation, or the morning of an important day, is that your brain bothered to wrap each of them in its own boundary and file it separately. The doorway effect is the rare moment when that gift costs you something small. A charger, a name, a point you wanted to make. Set that tiny cost against everything the system gives you, and it's not even close. You are paying a charging cable for a searchable life. Now watch how far this goes, because once you know the pattern, you start seeing it absolutely everywhere. It's not just literal doorways. Your brain marks an event boundary at all sorts of transitions, and each one can quietly purge whatever you were holding. You're deep in a task at your desk, totally focused, and a coworker walks up and asks a quick, unrelated question. You answer, they leave, and you turn back to your screen and have no idea what you were doing. The interruption was an event boundary. The folder closed. Same mechanism, no door required.
Or you open your laptop to do one specific thing, send one email, look up one fact. But the moment the screen lights up, there's a notification, and you click it. And 20 minutes later, you surface with no memory of why you opened the laptop in the first place. Each click was a little doorway. Each new context closed the old folder. The original intention got filed under a tab you already left. Or the deeply relatable one. You're holding a thought you want to say in a conversation, waiting for your turn to speak, and someone else says something, and the topic shifts just slightly. And when your moment finally comes, it's gone. The thing you were going to say has evaporated. That shift in the conversation was an event boundary too. Your brain treated the new direction as a new event and quietly closed the folder your point was sitting in. Or the grocery store. You build a perfect little mental list on the couch. Milk, bread, the one specific thing you actually went out for. You drive there, walk in through those big automatic doors, and somewhere between the entrance and the third aisle, the list dissolves. You come home with a basket full of things you didn't plan and without the one thing you went for. The drive was a transition. The store entrance was a doorway, a big obvious one. Every aisle was a fresh little context. By the time you're standing in front of the cereal, the couch list is 3 folders back, sealed and shelved. Or studying. You read a whole page, get to the bottom, and realize you absorbed nothing. And then a noise, a glance at your phone, a shift in your chair breaks your focus, and even the little you had slips away. Attention itself is what holds a fragile new memory open, and every break in attention is a small boundary that lets the folder start to close before the memory was ever properly saved. It even works in your imagination, which is the part that's almost unbelievable. In some of the experiments, people forgot more just from imagining walking through a doorway or watching a character on a screen pass through one. Your brain doesn't even need your body to physically cross a threshold. The mere idea of a transition is enough to trip the event boundary and start closing folders. That's how automatic this is. That's how deep it runs. And here's where it stops being a party trick and becomes genuinely useful. Because the same principle that makes you forget can be turned around to make you remember. If your memories are filed by context, by where you were and what state you were in, then context becomes a tool you can actually use. This is why studying for a test in a room similar to the one you'll be tested in can genuinely help. Why being slightly stressed while you learn something and slightly stressed while you recall it can improve recall. Why returning to an old place can flood you with memories you hadn't touched in years. The smell of a specific place, a song that was playing, the room where it happened. These are all folder labels, and pulling on any one of them can open the whole box. Your memory isn't just stored in your head. It's stored in your head, stapled to the world. The world is part of your filing system. You've probably felt the dramatic version of this without realizing what it was. You walk back into your childhood home, or a school you haven't visited in decades, and suddenly, memories come pouring in that you would have sworn were gone forever. The layout of a hallway, the feeling of a particular afternoon, things you hadn't thought about in 20 years. You didn't recover those memories by trying. You recovered them by standing in the context they were filed under. The place is the key. A certain smell can do it in an instant, drop you fully into a moment from childhood. Because smell is wired especially tightly to memory and acts as one of the most powerful folder labels you have. A song from a specific era of your life can reopen that entire era. None of that is magic. It's the same filing system working in your favor for once. The world handing your brain the exact label it needs to find the box. Which means the doorway effect and the childhood home flood are two sides of the identical coin. Leave a context and you can lose what was filed there. Return to a context and you can recover what was filed there. The forgetting and the remembering are the same mechanism, just run in opposite directions. Once you understand that, you don't just stop fearing the blank moment in the kitchen. You gain a quiet tool for the rest of your memory too. So what do you actually do about the kitchen problem? A few simple things, and now you'll understand exactly why each one works. The first is the one you already discovered by accident. When you blank, go back. Return to the room where the intention formed. You're not retracing your steps as some vague memory ritual. You're physically reopening the folder. It works because of how the filing system is built, and it works almost every time. The second is to defeat the boundary before it forms. The reason the doorway can purge your intention is that the intention was only being held loosely, in fragile working memory, tied to the old room. So make it stronger before you cross. Say it out loud, charger, 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 as you walk. Spoken words are held differently than silent intentions, and they survive the doorway far better. Or turn it into a vivid image. Don't just think, I need the charger. Picture the charger doing something absurd, wrapped around the toaster, glowing, on fire. A weird image grabs your brain's attention and refuses to be quietly filed away with the living room furniture. You're giving the thought enough weight that the closing folder can't just sweep it up. The third, for the bigger version of this, is to reduce the number of boundaries between you and what you need to remember. Every interruption, every tab, every transition is another folder closing on whatever you were holding. So when something matters, protect the straight line. Write the intention down before you cross any thresholds, physical or digital. Externalize it so it doesn't have to survive the journey through your own brain's relentless filing system.
The note in your hand doesn't care about doorways.
And there's a fourth, almost too obvious to mention, except that it works beautifully precisely because of everything we've covered. Carry the object, or carry a piece of it. If you're going to the kitchen for the charger, take the dead phone with you. Now the thing you're holding is itself the reminder. You look down, see the phone, and the intention reassembles instantly. Because the object is its own folder label, and you carried the label through the door with you. You can't always do this, but when you can, it sidesteps the whole problem. You're not asking a fragile thought to survive the crossing. You're handing the crossing a physical cue that does the remembering for you. Notice what all four of these have in common. They each take a thought that was being held loosely, silently, inside the one place that's vulnerable to doorways, your working memory, and they anchor it somewhere sturdier. Out loud, in an image, on paper, in your hand. The doorway can only purge what's floating free in your head. Tie the thought to something solid and the door has nothing to sweep away. But honestly, the most useful thing isn't the trick. It's the reframe. The next time you walk into a room and stand there, blank, in front of the toaster, you don't have to feel that little stab of worry that your mind is slipping. You can feel something closer to amusement. Because now you know what just happened. Your brain didn't fail, it filed. It is running a filing system so good, so automatic, so relentless, that it occasionally files away a thought you were still using, simply because you had the audacity to walk through a door while holding it. The blankness isn't decay, it's housekeeping. Your brain tidied the room a half second before you were ready, and put your charger thought away in a box in the room you just left. Go back, and it'll be right there waiting for you. It always was. You don't have a bad memory. You have a brain that's a little too organized for its own good. And that, when you think about it, is a much nicer thing to be standing in your kitchen knowing. Now, here's something to carry into the next one. Notice that everything we just talked about is your brain taking a shortcut. Chopping life into folders, closing the ones it assumes you're done with, running on automatic to stay efficient. Your brain does this constantly. It is, underneath everything, a machine built to save effort, to take the quick route, to go with the easy signal instead of the careful one. Most of the time, you never even notice. But one of those shortcuts quietly runs your whole social life. It decides who you believe, who you follow, who you trust when two people tell you different things. And here's the unsettling part. It has almost nothing to do with who's actually right. Your brain has a fast, lazy little rule for deciding who to trust. And that rule can be fooled by the one thing that's easiest in the world to fake. What that shortcut is, and how completely it can be exploited, is the next thing we need to talk about. For now, I just want one thing from you, and it's a small experiment. What did you walk into a room for this week and completely, embarrassingly forget? Tell me what it was, and then tell me the real test result. When you walked back to where you started, did the thought come back? Because if it did, you just watched your own filing system reopen a folder in real time. And that's a far stranger and more wonderful thing than simply forgetting.